Right now, inside your head, a story is unfolding. It's a story that's been in the making for millions of years. It's all about how you remember, how you learn, and a tiny ghost from our deepest evolutionary past that just might be pulling all the strings.
I know. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But just stick with me here. We're going to dig into some pretty solid evidence that suggests the very core of our long-term memory might actually be a gift from a virus that infected our ancestors.
Okay, let's start with just one number 8%. That's the percentage of the human genome that isn't, well, strictly human. It's basically fossilized DNA from ancient viruses that got into our ancestors' code and just stayed there. They literally wrote themselves into our evolutionary story. Now, most of these ancient viral remnants are just sleeping, they're dormant. But here's the twist one of them isn't a fossil, it woke up. It got reactivated, repurposed, and it is actively working inside your neurons as we speak.
So, it's time to meet our prime suspect. It's a protein called ARC. Now, for decades, neuroscientists have seen ARC as one of the good guys, a hero even, absolutely essential for making memories.
To really get what ARC does, you first have to understand something called synaptic plasticity. It sounds super technical, but it's actually simple. Think of the connections between your brain cells. Every single time you learn something new or form a memory, those connections get stronger or weaker. That constant remodeling, that's plasticity.
And ARC? Well, ARC is the master organizer of that whole process. It's not just some minor player. It's the foreman on the construction site, the one calling the shots, deciding which connections to reinforce to turn a fleeting thought into a memory that lasts.
And the whole thing is incredibly fast and elegant. So, a new experience happens, and that activates a connection between neurons. That flips on the ARC gene, and boom, the ARC protein gets made, right there on the spot. It immediately gets to work, physically rebuilding that connection so the memory sticks around for good.
Okay, so far, ARC sounds like a total hero protein, right? But its method of operation, its MO, this is where the story gets really, really weird. Because the way ARC works, it isn't just unusual. It's like nothing else our cells are supposed to do.
And the reason for this strange behavior goes way, way back. We're talking about 400 million years ago. A retrovirus infected one of our earliest land-based ancestors. But instead of our bodies silencing that viral code, evolution did something amazing. It kind of tamed it, domesticated it, and gave it this massively important new job, managing our memory. And here is the absolute bombshell. ARC didn't just evolve from a virus. In a lot of ways, it still acts like one. Scientists were stunned to find that ARC proteins will just spontaneously build themselves into these little hollow shells. They're called capsids, and they are perfect copies of the protective shells viruses use to carry their genes. This really highlights just how different this is. On one hand, you've got the normal way neurons talk to each other, sending little chemical signals. It's like sending a postcard. But ARChy has created this whole other parallel system. It's a viral system. It's not sending postcards. It's sending entire packages of genetic information from one brain cell to the next.
So this is actually how it happens. ARC builds its own little viral shell. It packs it with its own messenger RNA. Then it launches this package out of the cell, it crosses the gap to a neighbor, and essentially infects it, delivering a payload of genetic instructions. It's an intercellular FedEx system built from a ghost virus. But a system this powerful and, frankly, this strange definitely has a dark side. When this ancient viral machinery goes haywire, it starts looking like the prime suspect at the scene of several major neurological disorders.
Let's take epilepsy. During a seizure, neurons just start churning out massive amounts of these ARC capsids. But here's the paradox. Animals that are engineered to have no ARC gene are actually more prone to seizures. So what does that tell us? It suggests that ARC is normally a stabilizer, but during a seizure, that whole system gets hijacked and goes dangerously off the rails. And the investigation has gotten a lot broader. We're talking huge genetic studies, sequencing the DNA of thousands of patients with schizophrenia. And they have all pointed to the same suspect. The genetic risk factors seem to converge right on ARC and its whole network, making it a key biological player in the disorder.
And what's wild is that it fits the classic model of the disease like a glove. The leading theory for schizophrenia is all about a critical dopamine imbalance. Well, when you disrupt ARC in mice, you get this exact same signature, a hyperactive pathway here and a hypoactive one there. It perfectly mirrors the disease's chemical blueprint.
The evidence from animal models is just so compelling. Mice that are engineered without the ARC gene show all these behaviors that are really relevant to schizophrenia. They have memory problems, they withdraw socially, and they can't filter out irrelevant noises and sensations, which is a core deficit of the disorder.
But ARC's fingerprints aren't just at one or two crime scenes. The investigation keeps broadening, revealing this viral ghost might be a common culprit in a whole host of neurological cases.
I mean, just look at this list. It's pretty striking. You've got schizophrenia and epilepsy, sure, but then Angelman syndrome, Fragile X, even autism spectrum disorder. They all seem to share this one common thread. In every single case, the ARC system is broken in some way. It's either cranked up too high, turned down too low, or its regulation is just completely out of whack. And this really brings us to the core of the story. ARC is a master hub. Evolution took this random piece of viral code and put it right at the center of how we think and how we remember. That gives our brains incredible power and flexibility, but it also creates a single critical point of failure. So we end on a pretty mind-bending question. Our ability to form lasting memories, one of the things that defines our humanity, appears to be a viral hack. It kind of forces us to rethink what self even means. If this one ghost is in our machine, what else is lurking in that 8% of our DNA that isn't really ours? What other parts of us are not entirely our own?